Welcome back to regular programming. Now it's time for the super fun happy horror hour with your hosts, Adam and Mike. As that weird guy said, welcome to the super fun happy horror hour with Adam and Mike, part of the SPDM crew network of podcasts. Mike, welcome and, well, not welcome to the show. It's our show, so there's no welcoming. Yeah, how's things? Tell the folks what we're all about.
Well, thank you very much for welcoming me to, a part of my own podcast, Well, no, technically your brainchild, and obviously we've told this story a little bit before. But basically, I don't know how much information we were going to give, but basically we had recorded 5 or 6 episodes of this podcast previously.
Of varying lengths.
Varying lengths. And I mean, like, when we say varying lengths, there were some that were like, I don't think any were actually an hour. I think everyone was over and some were closer to 2. There were some that were pretty close to 2. And then, you know what? I had to admit, and this is my first time saying it, I was a little bit nervous talking to Adam about it, because I know that we had, put a lot of work into it. But I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and then I like to be proud of what I put out. Anything that I put my name to, I want to be, I want to be proud of it. And a part of me was like, I don't know how proud I am of what we had. Because as you put it, when we were talking, it was very much like 2 people getting to know each other. It was like conversation, the podcast, basically.
Yeah.
And we went on quite a few tangents to the point where, which is always good and it's always going to happen. But there were definitely some episodes more than others where we actually talked more about the tangents than the topic at hand.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
And look, while I think that those episodes were still beneficial for us, because I think it has taught us a lot about each other and discussing things. I think it also has helped shape. We've sort of, from us talking after that, we've sort of gotten an idea of what we want from the podcast as well, to make it into something that we can be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just to feed off what you were saying, those episodes were a bit less structured than what we're going to go forward with. We're going to have some thematic episodes, basically. Well, if you haven't gathered by now, this is the pilot episode, just introducing ourselves. So maybe we do introduce ourselves to the listeners and who we are and what we're about, and then we can talk about what the show's going to be like and what people can expect for the first episode. Did you want to introduce yourself first, where people can catch you and what else you're up to in the world of pop culture?
Yeah, all right, I can do that. If you haven't twigged on yet, my name is Mike. On social media, I do Beyond Horror. So that goes across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Letterboxd. So on Instagram, it's just Beyond Horror. On YouTube, it's Beyond Horror AU, because I'm Australian, if you haven't gathered. And then on TikTok and Letterboxd, it's Adam's favorite. I go by Beyond Horror 666.
I had a bit of a run-in with 666 today. I don't know if you saw my Instagram stories. Yeah, when you see my Instagram stories, this is going to be outdated by the time this episode is.
I'll definitely have a look. But yeah, so a little bit about me is obviously I like horror. And this was Adam's brainchild. And the idea came about from Adam, not Aaron. Adam. But I'll let Adam introduce himself and also can go on to a little bit of, how this come to be as well.
Okay, that'll be interesting. So obviously my name's Adam. I host another podcast called Curbside Collections about physical media, and am also a co-host of a history of film podcast called The Cinematic Wasteland with my buddies Shane and Luke, where we go through a year of cinema each episode, which is once a month. I actually can't remember how this was my brainchild. I know I did say something to you because I interviewed you for my show, and I come up with some silly idea, but to keep myself busier than I need to be. But here we are. I'm, I guess, because I'm a relatively new convert to horror, as in I didn't really start getting into horror until my mid-40s. We won't say that too often. But I have fallen in love with I won't say every, but most genres of horror films. And when I start to think back, I actually was more of a fan of horror than I thought I was because I do like my vampire movies, I do like zombie movies, but I never thought of myself as a horror fan because I don't see them as, well, they are horror films, but I don't see them as horror films like slashers and ghostly thrillers and things like that. So yeah, I mean, Mike, did you want to expand on how this show came about, how I convinced you to fall down this rabbit hole with me?
Look, I don't know if there was like much convincing, and what you had already alluded to, which was basically, as you said, I was a guest on your podcast, and obviously we had been on movie battles as well, like previous to that. So in that short amount of time, I'd sort of got a bit of a gist of who you were, what sort of thing you're into, and, you know, like your passion for movies, you know, in general, you know, regardless of genre, just in general, you know what you're talking about. And
I like to think so. Some people might disagree with that, to be honest.
And maybe they do, but I mean, again, like it's all subjective. I know we've spoken about it in another you know, like buried episode, but we did talk about sort of the difference between, I guess, like a standard movie lover or a casual movie lover as opposed to, you know, the people that take things further and look into it deeper as well.
Cinephilic. I'm a cinephile, so I don't know if cinephilic's a word, but I'm making it up and trademarking it, right?
Yeah. I don't know, like, if I like the word cinephile or if I feel like a dickhead calling myself a cinephile. I don't know.
Like, it makes me feel superior, but it's the no. Obviously, that's a joke, but it's. I think it describes pretty well. It just means you're obsessed with cinema. Like it's
yeah. And because of that, and because of like the way that we talked, like that episode of your podcast was just a really good time. It was chilled, easygoing, to the point that like when the time was up for it to be done, I remember you reaching out to me. It might have even been like the same day or like the next day.
Probably.
And I think it was sort of put to me now. I didn't know generally like what your knowledge of horror was really, like because we were doing the podcast of your podcast. It was just about a bit of everything, but you had basically come to me and it was like, you know, we could do like a horror podcast, like based on horror movies. I was like, yep. And then I can't remember your wording exactly, but it was something along the lines of like the gimmicky type thing would be like you called yourself like a newcomer to horror almost or something, or like a novice of horror or something. And that it would be me sort of, you know, rattling off stuff and, you know, like you know, taking that in sort of thing. And that it would sort of be, you know, like I don't know, like a Jedi with their apprentice sort of thing.
Yeah. I guess because I like to learn as well, and I like to try and learn about all genres and subgenres of film. So it's a really good excuse for me to learn more.
And but then, so I was like completely open to that idea because, again, the idea of like maybe opening someone's eyes to horror genre. And, you know, like more stuff as well. Like, that's good for me. Like, the more people that enjoy horror, the better, right?
Yeah.
But very quickly on, like, very early on in our recordings, Adam's initial, like, wording, like, I found out to be just complete and utter, like, bullshit, which was like, well, the terms of like going like, oh look, I'm a newcomer to horror, and then I find out what you have watched.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, I'm not a newcomer to horror. Like, it just might be that you watch it more casually than I do. You know, like where I'm obsessed. So, like, you know, it's kind of my thing. Like, and unrealistic as it is, I would love to just watch every horror movie ever made.
I still think I'm new because I've only really started watching horror properly honestly, for the last 2 years. It's just that I watch over 600 movies a year that I have seen a lot, I suppose, because when I get obsessed by a certain aspect of cinema, like I had a whole run of, and I still love and still do watch them, but just almost exclusively watching films pre-1970s. So I was just watching old films and old actors and old directors, fell into horror because of my daughter, and I really started enjoying it. And I don't know why in my mid-40s I started enjoying horror, but it's just because I watched so much and I devoted a lot of time to catching up on stuff. But I'm still behind. Like, I haven't seen all the Friday the 13th, so I still haven't seen all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and Halloween's, there's still a couple missing from that. But, you know, that's why I consider myself a relative newcomer.
Yeah, see, I don't know though, because the way that I see it is like maybe you've done this I think you've condensed it into a
Yeah,
shorter amount of time.
yeah,
But for instance, like an average movie goer or movie watcher isn't going to have 600 titles under their belt in a year.
yeah. They might watch
That,
50, but 49 of those might be horror. Yeah,
and it goes like that's almost two a day, almost, one and a
yeah,
half a
yeah, yeah,
day or whatever it works out to
yeah.
be. That's insane to think about. Like I go the
It is.
six, and I go, okay, fair enough. But even if 10% of those movies were horror, that's
Mm.
60 horror movies a
Yeah,
year, right?
yep.
So, and then if you look at it and go, okay, 60 horror movies, that's one horror movie a week for a year.
Mm.
There's certain like people that would consider themselves fans that of horror that wouldn't watch that much.
I
And you're
actually
just
did
playing
vote.
catch up.
I am, and I've caught up this way because during spooky season, and I do on my letterbox, I do a Spooktember and a Spooktober. And during September and October, I pretty much if I watch 70 films during those 2 months, which is probably underdoing, I'm probably closer to 100, honestly, for those 2 months.
You're
Um,
definitely underdoing it. I guarantee you're
yeah,
like close to
yeah.
100.
But out of those 100, say I do watch 100 movies, I do watch about 50 a month. Out of those 100, 90 of them are probably horror films. And I spend most of November depressed as fuck from just watching horror films. It's happened to me the last 2 years. Honestly, man, I get real
Like burnout.
burnout, not kind of depressed, just sad, just general malaise from just watching horror so much. But I love watching horror, but I do have other movies that bring me out of that funk. I'll just go and watch, I don't know, Back to the Future or La La Land or some old classic nostalgic film that I love that'll bring me out of that funk. And then, yeah, I'll watch horror more casually throughout the year then.
I wonder, yeah, like, and I mean, you're saying that you're not 100% sure if it is, burnout or anything like that. But I mean, I
Mm,
do. I get it. Especially like you said, like, even though, like, I think I could safely say at least 90% of the movies I watch year long are
mm,
horror movies, like
mm,
in comparison to anything else. This is my favorite genre.
yeah,
There's a bunch of and burnout can happen, but there's a bunch of different subgenres as well, so that you can
yeah,
sort of kind
mm,
of try and keep it out of becoming a funk. But
yeah,
at the same time, as a whole, though, it's still horror, right? So
mm,
I get burnout, and after like October, because basically my goal there in October is just I make up a calendar and I put a minimum of one movie every day for the month of October.
yeah, yeah. See, I don't do that. I
But
envy people who can do that.
sometimes what I do is I know that I can watch more than one movie in a day. Like I'll be honest,
Mm,
I get burnt out from work. Some days I struggle to like after I've done dinner and done all the housework stuff of finishing up,
yeah,
to sit and watch a movie for some reason can just feel really like taxing, and I go like nah,
yeah,
like I'd much rather doom scroll on my phone. Like
yes, yeah,
just
absolutely.
but then there's other times where I go, okay, like yeah, I'll push out, I'll do that movie. And then there's certain days that like, and even nights, like generally, and it's funny, Letterboxd has taught me this. I tend to push out two movies like on a Thursday because my brain tells me, oh, it's only Friday you've got to get through. Like if you go to work tired on Friday, like what's it really matter? So that's where, and some Wednesdays I do it as well. But so then, and then I take into consideration on the weekends that I'm not busy doing stuff. I'll like on a Sunday, I'll try and watch a minimum of two, maybe three movies on a Sunday. Like I'll make sure
Yeah,
that everything that I'm meant to do on that day is already done, or I do it in the
hmm,
morning so that I can watch guilt free for the rest of the day and do
yeah,
nothing. Like
yep,
just because through like social media and through some of the stuff that I do, under another, this sounds really like sketchy and lame, but under another persona that I do on social media, I do a lot of conventions, trade shows, events and stuff like that. And they always fall on weekends. And so when you have those commitments, it's hard, like, because a convention, you got to be there at, let's say, like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. They go into a 5 or 6 at night. you've got to travel both way, like, because they're in the city as well. You know, there's often dinners involved and all this. So by the time you get home, you know, it could be like 9 o'clock at night, 2 days in a row. You don't really get a rest from work because you've just done work and then you've got Saturday, Sunday things on.
Yeah.
You don't want to watch movies, but on October, I go nuts. Like, I just try and watch. I plan it. Like, there's ones that I want to watch.
Yeah.
If certain days all on, you know, like, obviously it's like for Halloween, like on October 31, if I'm not at a screening of something, because a lot of places do like special screenings of things on Halloween, but I will always like plan that I'll watch one of the Halloween movies, and it'll be a random one because I've seen them all. So it's not like there's no point me not that, because I do it during the year. Like, I watch the franchise at least once a year anyway, like from start to finish, like all of them.
Really?
Yeah,
all
like
the remakes and stuff.
Yeah, like I've seen all of them. Like, that's probably like the franchise I've watched the most, like by far. You know, and so. And I don't always, sometimes I get in the mood where I'll watch like the franchise from start to finish, like, you know, during the week, like watch one a night until I'm done. Other times I'll watch it and go, oh, I watch them, you know, in order. But I'll do like, you know, one a week or something like that just to go, let's watch it. And then sometimes I feel like just watching a random one from it, you know, like grab Halloween 3 or something like that, like Season of the Witch, and then just randomly like put it on, because I don't need to watch them in order now. One, because the timeline of them and the canon of them is so fucked up anyway, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But then I'm watching them for my enjoyment. I don't need to watch them from... I could watch them in reverse if I really wanted to, you know? I can tell you what happens in each of the movies. But I generally try and make it that at least in October, I will try and watch like one or two just because it feels right to do.
Yeah.
It's not Halloween without a Halloween movie.
It's like watching Christmas movies at Christmas. It's
Die Hard has to be watched at Christmas. It's like a Halloween movie has to be watched at...
Let's not get into that argument.
Or Gremlins has to be watched at Christmas.
Gremlins, yes. The whole Die Hard argument's like arguing whether a hot dog is a sandwich or not. It's kind of like people are going to have their opinions, and they're all pointless opinions. So, you know.
Well, it's the pineapple pizza opinion, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly. It is. So the structure. Let's tell the folks what type of structure the new show. Maybe one day if we get rich and famous from this, we might have some. So we'll release those unhinged episodes behind a paywall and something maybe.
Yeah, I think that if anything, I did say, you know, an idea could be that it would be good to get like some of the bloopers out of it and make some like blooper reels could be cool, or just even like
or if you feel like
excerpts or something. Definitely that, because we went off the rails a lot, which is why we're here now and why we're revamping. But basically the structure was that we needed to put something together. One, it'd probably be good if we could adhere to the hour sort of format. Like, we understand if it's a little bit under or a little bit over, it's not going to, you know, kill us.
Yeah.
But we were going much over. You know, we were basically recording an episode which could have been 2 episodes.
Yeah, sometimes 3.
Yeah, sometimes 3.
I think our very last episode was pretty fucking long. It was 3 hours.
Yeah. So now what we're going to do, and it will change, and our themes will change as well, a little bit as well. But basically the format will stay the same unless we do special episodes, which we'll announce like, you know, as they come up and stuff. Like, we may decide to do something a bit different. But as it is, I'm just going to say it's a double feature format. That's what I'm just calling it. It's easier to do that, which is basically regardless of if there's a theme or not, we're going to talk about 2 movies. And the plan would be that each of those movies we talk about for half an hour.
Yep.
You know, so like, you know, half an hour each, you get an hour. We'll put a buzzer in the middle and just go, you know, even if either one of us is like, you know, midway through a sentence, we're just going to go like, well, on to the next one. All right. And we just start talking about the next movie, you know, and we're just, And so we're just going to do that and try and adhere to the hour, I think it's more easy to stay on, like, you know, on the same sort of wavelength because there's no real tangents if we talk about a topic, right? Like, or that one thing. So like if you know, we spoke about Halloween just before. So if we were talking about a Halloween movie, you know, like, sure, we can make comparisons to other Halloween movies. Like if we go, oh yeah, but they did all this, but we're still talking about that, like our goal. Like we're still talking about what we're there to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, so like other movies may be mentioned, you know, in the same breath, but it's in relation to the topic.
Yes. I think by tangenting as means we're not going to go off and talk about, well,
the F1 movie.
Not. Yeah, well, we're not, or even stuff that relates to, you know, life. We're not going to start getting into politics and conspiracy theories like we probably were in the last episodes, because we were just getting to know each other, like we said at the start.
Yeah, and you know, and we did discuss, you know, like obviously, like one of the things that we found out while going on these tangents is that, you know, however many listeners, be it 1, be it 100, be it 1,000, everyone has different beliefs, which everyone's entitled to. And we, you know, by staying on track, we sort of limit the risk of, I guess, alienating anyone. You know, like
honestly, yeah, or boring the shit out of them.
Or that as well, you know, like they're here to, you know, talk about movies or hear about movies, and they don't need to necessarily, you know, like the same with me. Like I hear enough about like political stuff, you know, in my day-to-day life that if I listen to a podcast, I probably don't want to hear more of it, right? That's my time to get away from it. A bit of an escape. So, you know, it is what it is. And so that's what we're sort of going to do. I think the first couple, I don't know how much Adam wants me to say. I'm not going to like name titles as much, but we want to do like a couple of like, so like original movies. And then pair it with like a remake. So we'll do a couple of those, and then like so
some
like
of the types of themes. Sorry, if you're just talking about some of the types of themes we'll cover.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you like. So you had a really good one that I liked about. You don't remember? So I'm going to name 2 titles here, but I actually think that they're very linked, and I think it makes good for a good episode. Which is A Girl Walks Home Alone and Humanist Vampire.
Yes.
So I think that they both have a lot in common, you know, while being completely like stark different movies, you know, like, but they make sense that if you went to a cinema and they did those back to back, you go,
it does make sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So we may do things like that. Like that's definitely, obviously, spoiler, that's going to be an episode that we do, you know, we'll
explain why we think they're a double feature as well.
Yeah. So we'll go into that. Like
I mean, there'll be episodes. Sorry, we'll be doing episodes with so those themes. So an original versus a remake. I'd also, well, not that we haven't discussed this, I don't know, but do episodes where we just recommend movies that are maybe under the radar. Some horror movies that people don't know, like you did to me, and freaked and grossed me out, but maybe laugh and love it. But, so it's things like that, you know, films that maybe people haven't seen. I mean, for me, that's a lot of films, but for you, you might. You know, because you watch so much horror, you'll be able to recommend stuff to me that we can recommend to everyone else. So, something like Oddity that came out last year, for example, that not many people have seen. That's really good. So, you know, any other themes that you think we will cover?
Yeah, like so I think like for instance like double features that have to do with like the same actor or actress in it as well. Directors, writers. So we'll do that. You know, like it could be cool. Like it's there's such like a variety that you could choose from. You know, you could do countries. You know, like you could do like a Japanese horror, like horror, like double feature. You know,
we
like
could do the foreign language and the English remake too, like for The Ring and Jewel. Things like that.
Stuff like that like would be really cool. It makes for a good way of doing this while keeping a structure, because I think realistically we get along that well that we could do like 10 hour long podcast episodes that no one's going to listen to because it's just us chatting. We still, you know, I don't mind the idea of getting guests in still. I think like that obviously we'll have to plan ahead for those and like, you know, and plan with the guests, you know, based on whatever topics we choose.
Well, I think we could get guests on and ask them to choose the topic, choose the theme.
Yeah, so like we can do that, and they can choose some movies, and we just, you know, like if we're going to record that, like in let's say 2 or 3 weeks time of like doing it, that gives us that time if we've not seen those movies that the guest suggests.
Yeah.
You know, we can go and watch them, and or at least like if we have seen them, we can go and watch them and just, you know, like sort of sharpen up our ideas on it too. So I think that's where we're at here, and I think that's going to keep us more on track and keep us away from being Tangent the podcast, which is the way that we were going.
If anyone out there listening to this has listened to me on shows, then you know why tangents.
Oh, look, it's not even just you. Like, it's so easy, like, because obviously,
I wasn't saying it was me, it was you.
You know, but it's so easy to go off on like other subjects because horror touches on so much. So there's things that relate to.
We could do themes about the themes behind the movies.
Yeah. So definitely things like that. We can do that. I think at least to begin with, I say this now, and by the time people listen to this, they may have changed. So don't hold us to it. But I think for the first few, we're going to just do like the remake OG ones just to get them out so that we can like perfect that format and know that we've got that down pat. Plus, it's a pretty easy topic to do. Like, you know, I know that once this podcast wraps up today, I'm going to start making a list of that, you know, just so that we can have those. And then, you know, there may be ones that you don't want to, let's not do those or this. And then, you know, we can sort of whittle it down to a list of however many we decide. We can even leave some for the back burner to do if we can't, you know, decide on something else. You know, it's not like we can't go back to topics either. We can always bring them up. But yeah, I think that's where we're going to go. I think that's just, it's going to keep it nice and sweet.
Yeah.
And just have it keep on track. So
yeah.
And close to the podcast name. It's the Super Fun Horror Happy Hour. You know, it's not Happy Week.
Yeah. We will aim to make it super fun and happy and an hour about horror. But in saying that, keeping it tight, we probably should wrap up. I know I'm looking forward to recording more with you, man, and talking about these films and doing some, I'd say deep dives, but mini dives into these films that we're going to talk about, because I don't know, half an hour might be good enough for a deep dive, but who knows with us. So yeah, super keen. You can catch me also on Letterboxd at Curbrider. That used to be a running theme in our
we're going to definitely bring Herbrider back. It's going to be it, but it's happening for sure.
Yeah, Mike is also on Letterboxd at Beyond Horror. Is it 666 on Letterboxd?
It is 666 because I'm cool. Badass,
super cool name. It's his Google emails got 69 at the end of it, maybe too. I don't know.
Definitely not. I kind of wish it did now, though.
That'd be great. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. This is the pilot. Hope you all listened, and hope you're all as excited as us to listen to us. Well, hope we've given you reason to listen to us talk about these films, because it's going to be a fun ride for me. And are we going to say what the first episode is? I think we should.
What's the first one going to be?
Well, okay. So after this pilot drops, the next episode will be in a fortnight's time, exactly from this date. The first episode will be Fright Night 85 and Fright Night 2011, because they're the movies I've watched most recently, right? Isn't that?
Yeah, and that's the same with me. Yes, that's it. So that's what we're going to do.
Yes. And until next time, Super Fun Happy Horror Hour is a member of the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. Access it wherever you get your podcasts, and you'll find some amazing topics on there. Thank you for tuning in. Get out.